Hello and welcome to episode 21 of the MD Quilter Knits podcast. I'm Beth, also known as MD Quilter. You can find me on Instagram and Ravelry as MD Quilter and on YouTube here as MD Quilter Knits. Thank you so much for hanging in there with me. It has been quite a while since my last podcast. Actually, it's been roughly 11 months. Last February, 2022 was the last time that I put up a proper podcast. I've been pretty sick, but I am on the road to recovery now. So I felt like coming and sitting in front of the camera with you guys. And then checking in a little bit about what I've been working on, what I managed to accomplish despite some struggles in 2022, and what I'm working on now. I did do Vlogmas in 2022. Those videos are up on this channel, so just go to my main channel and you will find all of Vlogmas 2022. And a little later, I'll explain a little bit about what was going on with me, why I haven't been around. But I also want to today talk about what I accomplished in 2022. So going through all of my projects that I did and the types of projects. And then talk about what I'm working on. And then I'll show you a little bit of my acquisitions. I'm not going to go through everything because we would be here until next week if I did that. But just so you know, today is Monday, January 2nd. I actually went through all of this yesterday on January 1st, but I forgot to hit the record button. I am a little rusty. I apologize. But settle in, grab a beverage. I have mine. It is a Dr. Pepper is my beverage of choice these days. And also some coffee here and there. I've already had my coffee today. But yeah, just settle in and we'll go over all of these fun things that I have to show you. I hope you enjoy. So let's first talk about what I accomplished in 2022. I put together a list. So if I look down, I apologize. That's what I'm looking at. But I have accomplished a total of 25 projects. And of that, there were sweaters, socks, one hat, and then what I'll call some other miscellaneous items. By and far, my largest number of finishes was in the sweaters category. I actually knit 16 sweaters in 2022. Can you believe that? Most of them, actually, I think all of them were either samples or test knits. Yeah, everything that I knit last year in sweaters and finished was either a sample or a test knit. It's crazy, but it is what it is. So let's go over the sweaters first, since that's the largest category. So I knit the Caladan sweater, which was a colorwork yoke sweater. That was a sample that I knit for Tamy Gore. She is a designer and I've done several samples for her. And that one I think was one of my first finishes of 2022. I then knit the brush strokes sweater, which is a pullover, and it is by Tiffany Neilan. And that one was a sample for Chelsea Luxe yarns. So that was knit out of their yarns. I then finished, this is the only project that was actually a carryover from 2021. But I finished it. It was the Forsythia cardigan. And that beautiful textured sweater designed by Jamie Lomax, Jamie Hoffman. Jamie Lomax is a different designer. Jamie Hoffman, who is Knitosophy. And I knit that using Ritual Dye's Elder yarn, and beautiful, beautiful sweater. I then knit the Staple Linen Tank, which is a pattern by Joji Locatelli. This was knit as a sample for Queen City Yarns using their new linen blend called Coleman. So I knit that, and I also knit the Isabell Kramer sweater Cullum. Both of those were knit with Queen City Yarns Coleman and knit as samples for Queen City. I then knit the My Favorite Adventure sweater, which it was a test knit for Trysten Molina of Dragon Hoard Designs and Dragon Hoard Yarns. And excuse me, I knit that using my 2021 Advent kit from Rising Tide Fiber Company, which was I believe her Christmas confectionaries theme. And then the main color was Leading Men Fiber Arts Soliloquy in, I believe, the Imperial colorway. Almost positive that's what that one was. Let me check real quick because that's kind of bothering me. But let me check real quickly. Sorry. I should have looked this up beforehand. But I think I have it here. Yes, Imperial. Leading Men Fiber Arts Soliloquy in the Imperial colorway, which is a beautiful royal blue. And it really set off that sweater. And then I knit the Fresh Favorite Tee, which was a test knit for Kristen Clement. And that also used the Queen City Yarn Coleman base in the Cherry Blossom colorway. Beautiful, beautiful colorway. But I'm actually going to need to reknit that sweater in a smaller size because the size that I knit is very large on me now. So then I also test knit the Salty Air Tee, which is a pattern by Samantha Guerin. And she used for her samples, she used Lavender Loon single ply linen. And I was going to use, I have some of that and I was going to use that. But when I was at Maryland Sheep and Wool at the pop-up shop at the Knot House, Christina of Chelsea Yarns was there and she had her single ply linen base. So it was the exact same base, dyed up in the exposed brick colorway. And I love the exposed brick colorway. So I picked up yarn to do my Salty Air Tee test knit using that. And I really love how it came out. It is a beautiful, beautiful sweater. So then I did a sample for Tanis Gray for her mini Lisa appreciation pullover. And this is the child version of her Lisa appreciation pullover, which is a nod to Lisa Frank. And it's a colorwork yoke sweater with unicorns around the yoke. And it's so adorable. And that used yarn from the Lemonade Shop. Then I did the Amber Blossoms sweater, which is a colorwork sweater using Magpie fibers, and I think it was the Solo or the Solo fingering base. So it's a single ply fingering base, and that was a sample for Magpie. So I did that for them. And I also knit the Velucor, which is by Andrea Mallory. And that was another sample for Magpie Fibers. And that one used Spin Cycle, dyed in the wool, and also the new collaboration with Magpie and Spin Cycle called Dyed in the Skein. And I did that as a sample. I also did the Alpenglow sweater, which was Andrea Mallory's collaboration with Spin Cycle and Magpie for her Rhinebeck sweater. And I did a sample for Magpie using the dyed in the wool from Spin Cycle, the dyed in the skein collaboration with Spin Cycle and Magpie Fibers, and Magpie Fibers plume. And I actually modified that at the request of Tamy, the owner of Magpie Fibers. And we steeked it and cropped it and did shorter sleeves and did a different neckline. But it does use the chart patterns. We also didn't do the all over color work, just the color work in the yoke and on the sleeves, and a corrugated ribbing. So it really came out adorable. So that was another sample. Then I did a test knit for Amba O'Brien called the Baronia cardigan. And I used Harrisville Designs Watershed yarn in the Elm colorway. And all that sweater needs now is buttons. So I do need to put the buttons on there and block it. And then I'll have a sweater that I can wear. And then I have, I knit the Easy V, which is a sweater by Caitlin Hunter, who is Boylan Knitworks. And this was knit with Loop Yin Yang yarn, and I knit it as a sample for Loop. So that was a fun one to do. I also did the Shoulder Season, which is a cute tee design, like little t-shirt by Shayna Lines Designs. And I did that using Queen City Noda Sock as a sample for Queen City Yarns. And then I did a secret sample sweater that I cannot talk about. So I'm going to just leave it as that at that, but it is finished. So that gives me 16 sweaters that I finished in 2022. 15 of them were started in 2022, started and finished in 2022. And one of them was started in 2021 and finished in 2022. So then I did, I participated in the Desert Vista Dyeworks annual sock challenge. This 2022 was the 8th annual. And excuse me, I'm going to bring in the one hat that I knit as well into this section, because in January I knit a Musselburgh hat using the Desert Vista Dyeworks colorway Veruca Zombody, which is from the Willy Wonka collection that she did, and it is inspired by Veruca salt. And then in February, I knit socks using the Rocky Horror colorway. And in March, I knit the Snow White and the 7 Zombodies. So that was the colorway for March. And I only did the first quarter for the challenge in 2022 because I just did not have the time to devote to the rest of the year. Then in other socks, I did knit 4 pairs of socks this year, or last year, 2022. I joined the Bumblebee Acres Stephen King Club. So I get a skein of yarn every month that is inspired by a Stephen King novel or movie of some variety, show. And my husband fell in love when I opened the package for September, and that was the fairy tale colorway. And it's based on one of Stephen King's newest books, and it has a lot of beautiful teal in it, along with some mustardy yellow and some rusty and some charcoal, I think. So he fell in love with that. So I knit him a pair of socks out of that. So I used the skein of Fairy Tale, and I knit up the String of Lights pattern by Sock Witchery, and love that pattern. Had a great time knitting it, and he loves those socks. Then in October, I opened, right after I finished this Fairy Tale socks, at the end of October, I got the Pet Cemetery colorway for 2022, and it was this beautiful, like, tonal charcoal. So I knit Eric a pair of socks out of that too. Very much his color. So I used another pattern from Sock Witchery called Second Breakfast, and it is an amazing textured pattern. It is a paid for pattern, so I'm not going to talk too much about what the pattern itself, what the texture pattern itself is, but it's a fun, easy to remember repeat. And I actually have recently cast on another pair of socks for Eric using the Second Breakfast pattern. So that's all of the socks and the hat for 2022. So if you're keeping count, that's 21 of the 25 items that I finished in 2022. So for my others, I did some step samples, which I don't know if you're familiar with, like, online teaching, but you have to knit. When you're teaching a pattern in a class, you have to have samples of each step as it goes along. So I did that for a designer that was doing a class, and it was kind of fun. It's kind of like in the cooking shows where it's like, and through the magic of television, we have a finished dish. It's that kind of a thing. So you have step 1, step 2, blah, blah, blah. So I did that. And then I did a deco mug mat, which was a sample for Lemonade Shop using their worsted base. I believe it was worsted, either worsted or balky. I can't remember which. But the deco mug mat is a pattern by Leslie Ann Robinson, who is Knit Graffiti. And there's a picture of it. It's a cute little way to learn increases and decreases in brioche. And then I did 2 more samples that I'm not allowed to talk about. It's for a book that's coming out later in 2023. But I did do 2 samples for that book. So that's the last 4 right there. So that adds up to 25 projects started and finished in 2022. Well, 24 started and finished in 2022. And then the last one was started in 2021, finished in 2022. I am super proud of all of that, considering that I didn't have a lot of energy for knitting. So can't beat that, 16 sweaters. Pretty darn good, if I do say so myself. All right. So let's talk about what I've been working on. I'm going to show you some things that I cast on earlier in the year and worked on for a while, and then the things that I am actively working on right now. Like, I've put stitches in them within the last 24 hours. All right. So I will start here. It's another Leslie Ann Robinson pattern. This is the bag that I'm using is from Black Pearl Magic. It is a it's a nice heavy, like, canvas top and then waxed canvas bottom. A little crunched because it's been kind of sitting under some stuff. But I am knitting the Mist Tea, which is a brioche. It's brioche on the bottom, garter on the top. And it is by Leslie Ann Robinson, Knit Graffiti, and it's from her first book, which is called Brioche Knitting for Beginners and Beyond. And I actually knit I test knit one of the sweaters in the pattern in the book in 2021. And I wore it to Rhinebeck in 2021. So I wore it one of the days of Rhinebeck. So that was a fun one to do. So I'm doing another of the sweaters, and I am using Leading Men Fiber Art Soliloquy. This is the very beginning of the sweater. So this is Soliloquy. This is Into the Woods. Or Haunted Wood. Hang on a second. I think it's Haunted Wood. I always get it wrong. Yeah, this is the Haunted Wood. And this is Oink Oink. I love them together. I really think they're great together. So this is what the sweater will be out of. And I'm hoping I can get back to it at some point. So for my beginning of round marker, I'm using my Moomin. And then I have this cute little hedgehog from Simply Serving. Yeah. All right. That's where we are with this one. This one's one of those mindless ones that are really easy, but it just takes time to do. So, all right. So that's that one. It's going to be fun. All right. And then I started a test knit. It's the beginning of a test knit for my friend Mary of Kino Knits. This is her first sweater pattern, and it's called the Megaliths Tee. So this is the beginning of it. They're beginning. And this is a pineapple upside down cake charm from Tiddly Bakes, I want to say. Isn't that cute? Cute little piece of pineapple upside down cake. And the yarn that I'm using for this is Magpie Spin Cycle collaboration, the Dyed in the Skein. So this is the Tupelo Extra colorway. And I'm also using a colorway called Soiree, which I'll start using a little later. And then I'm using Spin Cycle Midsummer. And I'll show you my swatch because this is kind of what the sweater is going to do. So this is the yoke, this is the body, and then the Spin Cycle is the separation color work. So that'll be all around at the color separation. Isn't it pretty? I love this. All right. So, and I also have to show. So this bag is from Wax and Thimble. It was intentional. I had bought the yarn and then I saw the bag and I'm like, I gotta have that bag. The top part here is from a Harris Tweed, either skirt or blazer. But you can see the Harris Tweed label there. And then it's wax canvas on the bottom. Yeah, as soon as I saw this, I was like, that's mine. Gotta have it for this specific project. And then, of course, the leather handles. I love the bag, though. It's really cool. Alrighty. Next up, I did another test. I started another test knit for Samantha Guerin. And this is called the For Keeps cardigan. And it is a textured body and then this beautiful cabled motif going down the front. Isn't that beautiful? So I'm in the round at this point. I have connected the front and back, and I'm just working down the body of the cardigan and then the sleeves, and I will be done. And I'm actually this adorable stitch marker progress keeper here. It's a gummy bear. And it's made by Dragon Hoard yarn. Trysten made these little resin bears. So I'm going to actually move my progress keeper up to where I am right now. So that way, if I work on this before, between podcasts, or when I start working on this, we'll see, the last time I showed this, it was at this spot. So, all right. And the yarn is Knit Picks Wool of the Andes worsted, and it's the non-superwash base in the Delft Heather colorway. But the bag that it's in, it's adorable little project bag I got from Miss Babs, and it's made from an old quilt. So see the pretty pink and then the blue block. Yeah. Isn't that cute? Great way to use or recycle a quilt that might have had some damage somewhere. So, all right. Okay, and then when I was at Zombie Knitpocalypse, hang on a second, let me get a drink. When I was at Zombie Knitpocalypse, we bunch of my friends there were going to Rhinebeck with me as well. So when we were there, we saw this lovely group of ladies that were wearing sweaters that matched each other. And we came to find out that it was the Stripes sweater by Andrea Mowry. And they had all bought yarn from Northern Bee, which is a Wisconsin-based indie dyer. And they're also a vendor at Zombie Knitpocalypse. So they bought the Moraine Sport base, and they all bought the same colors and made their sweaters to match each other. So we got the bright idea that we wanted to do the same thing. So we all either bought the yarn and took it home with us or ordered it and had it shipped to us. I ordered my yarn and had it shipped to me, which was fine. We chose the same 10 colors, but we decided not to do the exact same striping sequence. We decided to choose our own striping sequence. So I started mine. Here we go. So this is the beginning of it. So I am 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm on the 7th stripe. So I'm not fully through the first repeat of the colors. But I also decided that I wanted to do a single color for all of the ribbing. So the neckband, the hem, and the sleeve cuffs. So I ordered a skein of bourbon, which is this lovely color. So that will be all of my ribbing. And right here, these are the colors. This is the color I'm working with right now. And then the other 3 colors that need to still be added in to my striping sequence. So this is another of those, once I split for the sleeves, it's going to be super fast and easy to finish. So I'm looking forward to getting back to this one. I really would like to finish this before ZK so I can take it with me. And, you know, even though it's the middle of June in Rochester, Minnesota, I want to have it with me. The ballroom gets hot sometimes, or gets cold sometimes, so I can wear it there. All right. So that's first Rhinebeck sweater. Second Rhinebeck sweater that I was working on was my own Alpenglow. I got pretty far on this. My Alpenglow sweater. So mine is, it's the dyed in the skein up top here, dyed in the skein here. This is dyed in the wool, and this is plume. So mine is the magpie colorway at the top. The plume is ash. This like kind of pinky plummy color is Careless Whisper. And then my spin cycle dyed in the wool is Ghost Ranch. So right now I've finished all of the color work at the top, and now I'm in the mosaic blips of color in the round. Whoops. Yeah, so that is where I am on my Alpenglow. So I'm hoping to get back to this sometime soon as well. It would be really nice to get it finished and wearable. All these plans, so many plans. All right, and then I signed up for another test knit, and I had to back out of it because I just didn't have the energy. I thought I would, but I just didn't. But it is started. This is, there we go. That's the beginning of it. This is called Mint Lemonade. And it's actually a cotton. It's using the Comfy Worsted in Thicket, and there you go. And the Comfy Worsted is 75% Pima cotton, 25% acrylic. And it's going to be a hooded like sweatshirt. And it doesn't have any ribbing. Everything is just bound off and rolled hems. So it's just that nice oversized comfy sweater. And it has 2 bands of color that go around each sleeve, and then the drawstring for the hood is a different color as well. And I think I chose pink. I would be surprised if I didn't choose pink. And this one is living in a bag from 3 by the Sea Design. It's an autumnal bag with the pumpkins there, and I love the old time pickup trucks. I forgot to mention, using another Black Pearl Magic bag with a pretty tie-dye print and a blue waxed canvas for my Alpenglow. It's amazing what you can stuff into these bags. All right, and then the last cast on, or the last work in progress that I have right now that is not being actively worked on is when I was in the rehab center, or when I was in the hospital, I started having FOMO on the Stephen West MCal, the twists and turns. So I decided to order yarn for it, and I decided I wanted 2 shades of gray and yellow for the pop. So this is where I am. I've finished clue 1, started working on clue 2. And I love my colors. Absolutely love the colors. I'm just not sure if I love the shawl. So I have to let it sit for a while. I love the feel of it though. I have to let it sit for a little while and see if I want to continue or if I want to, just kind of move on and rip it out. But I'm using Barnyard Knits yarn, and it's their sock, which is 75 superwash merino, 25% nylon. And my dark color, which is this one, is gunmetal. The light gray is dove. And the yellow is wild honeysuckle. And I love my colors. Absolutely love them. Just not sure I absolutely love the project. But you know what? It can sit. It can sit in here for a little while. And we'll see what happens. And then the bag that I'm using for this is from JD Studios 480. They are a pigskin party sponsor, longtime pigskin party sponsor. And I just love this bag with the cute items hanging from the clothesline drying. All right. So that's that one. And then I have 3 projects that I am currently actively working on. One is a test knit, one is a pair of socks, and the other is a sweater for a different knit along. But it is not a test knit. It is not a sample. It is strictly for me, and I am super excited. So we'll start with the socks because they're on the top. And I bought a bunch of these handmade in Ghana baskets from Ruby and Roses. She's no longer selling the baskets, but I picked up a bunch of them because I love these baskets. I've got a couple of big ones for storage. I have one back here that's holding yarn for me. I just love them. So bought that, and then I'm using inside of it, I have a Beautiful Sister Heather bag, which is their kind of over the arm, but it also works well as like a yarn bowl, and it just fits inside this bag very nicely. And I am making a pair of socks for Eric. Here's the yarn. It's also Bumblebee Acres. I love their Coquette sock base, which is 75% superwash Corriedale, 25% nylon. And this is the August colorway from the Stephen King Club called Stu Redman. And this is from the stand. And the inspiration for the colorway comes from this. And I am doing the Second Breakfast socks by Sock Witchery. You can see the texture pattern starting. I've finished the cuff and I've done a couple repeats of the texture pattern. This little gnome here, Progress Keeper, is from Adore Knit. And it's a holiday gnome. You can see the candy cane. And he is the Pigskin Party 2022 exclusive from the exclusive set, marker set. So I'm using that, and I am using my needles. I have to show off my needles. So these are the Addy Unicorn Turbo. And they have pink cords, which anyone that knows me knows my love of pink. And the texture pattern on these is a spiral texture. So they look like unicorn horns. Can you believe that? So Addie, their size one is a 2.5 millimeter. And I always use a 2.25 millimeter for my fingering weight socks. So these needles are actually perfect for this coquette sock base because it is a plump fingering weight yarn. I mean, I normally use a 75-25 superwash merino, and this is nice and plump. So kind of falls between a fingering and a sport, and these needles are just perfect for it. So I am super happy about that. All right, now where am I going to put things? All right, let's put that there. Okay. So then I cast on a new sweater yesterday. Those were cast on yesterday, by the way. I am doing a challenge with the Love and Stitches membership called 30 for 30. And that is crafting for 30 minutes a day for 30 days consecutively. So I decided to cast on my Stria cardigan by Andrea Mowry. And I have cast on and made it through the first color stripe, which I think is lovely. Made me very happy to get through that. This little progress keeper here is from 3 by the Sea Design. It's a pink Mickey Mouse ears. And my little stitch markers that I'm using are micro hearts from Lemonade Shop that I got as a gift from Heather. And they're bright and glittery and so cute and perfect for this project. I am using, for my stripes, this is Spin Cycle Dyed in the Wool. And this is one of their kind of oopsie mashups. And this is Sunset Strip and Melancholia together. Love it. And then this is a sport weight yarn from Berry Fun Yarns. And can't remember the colorway. Let's see if this tells us. The colorway is called Pumpkin, and it's dyed with Coreopsis flowers. And it's the Berry Tough Sport, which is 80% superwash merino, 20% nylon. So the colorway is Pumpkin. And it is so soft and so wonderful. I'm really enjoying knitting with this. Yeah. So this is the Stria cardigan. And it will have these fun little stripes like every 10 rounds or rows. And the bag that I'm using is from Whimsy Stitches. Can you see that? It's a little blown out. Okay, Whimsy Stitches. And this bag was actually a gift. I didn't even realize it. It's got the hearts, colorful hearts all over it. And I'm using those little heart stitch markers. Perfect. But this bag was a gift. My friend, I spent some time in a physical therapy rehab center earlier this year. And my friends Trish and Deb thought that I needed a pick-me-up. So they dropped off this bag filled with an insane amount of goodies that included like an adult coloring book, some markers, a journal, a couple of other things, and 2 different types of individually packed Skittles and tiny pretzels and some microwave popcorn. So I had all kinds of goodies just overflowing this bag, and I am eternally grateful for that. So it's just super cute, super sweet. And now I'm getting to use it. Another Whimsy Stitches bag. I love Rick's bags. I have a lot of them. All right. So my next, let me just put that there. Okay. So I'm using, actually, believe it or not, another Whimsy Stitches bag. This one has adorable kitty cats in winter wear. Aren't they cute? This is a test knit for Vanessa Smith. And this, I don't know if you remember, but last year I did or 2021, I did a test knit for Vanessa Smith for the Nydia pullover. And it was this beautiful red Queen City Yarns jam session. And I wore it to Rhinebeck with a houndstooth top underneath of it. And it was just adorable. Well, this year she came out, or she designed, I'm in the middle of testing it, the cardigan version. So this is the Nydia cardigan. I have split for sleeves. This is the back. And I am in love. It's coming up brighter on screen than it actually is. It's a little more muted, but oh my God, it's beautiful. The colorway, or the yarn, is Knitted Wit DK, and it's the key lime colorway. And I am just loving it. And I'm also utilizing in the bag this adorable bowl for the yarn balls, also from the Handmade in Ghana. So it's wonderful when you're alternating skeins. And I just have it sitting in the bottom of the bag. So it contains them. And then the Progress Keeper that I'm using is a little apple from Sam's Tiny Trinkets. She's part of Wool and Woman Fibers. Yep. So that's what I'm doing there. And that is everything that I am currently working on or have recently cast on. And I'm really looking forward to finishing a lot of these things. Yeah, it's been a trial. Kind of crazy times. So, all right. So yesterday I got a little bit of happy mail. Yay. I told you that I'm part of the Stephen King Club from Bumblebee Acres, and I am now getting their sock sets. So I get a little mini skein as well. And this is the December 2022 Stephen King colorway. And definitely going to be yarn for Eric, because this is one movie that he does love quite a lot. And here's Johnny. So this is inspired by The Shining. And look at the red and the bear color here. And then these like brown grays and charcoaly grays and black. So gonna be gorgeous socks for Eric. So I will be winding that up probably next and making socks for him. I kind of wish that I had gotten the mail before I wound up the Stu Redmond yarn, because I would have totally wound up Here's Johnny for his next socks. But that's okay. It's all good. And I also have started collecting crochet hooks. I'm not quite sure why, but it is what it is. So I got, hang on a second, I'm trying to figure out if this says what size it is. It does. Okay. Anyway. All right. So I found on Etsy this absolutely adorable crochet hook. It's a size G, but it has a Mickey Mouse head at the end. And these little beads here make it so comfortable to crochet with. So super cute. And then I had this one made custom. And this one, it's a 4 millimeter, I guess. I sent my logo for the podcast to them. And they made this absolutely adorable using, with my unicorn with the donut and the crown, and then the MDQuilter knits. And I have to say, I know exactly how ironic that is that I have MDQuilter knits on a crochet hook. But you know what? It's super cute. I really like it. Because I'm trying to get a little more into crochet. I'd like to do, there's a couple of scrappy crochet projects that I want to do. So they will become scrappy crochet projects soon. And then I mentioned that I didn't get to go to Rhinebeck. It's very sad. However, I had no shortage of friends offering to shop for me, which is amazing. So one of my friends, I sent her I told her that I wanted to do the Stay Cozy Worsted sweater by Shayna Billow. And I already have the cobblestone yarn, which is a Chelsea Luxe. That's her base. What she calls her slub base is cobblestone. So I have that in the rose gold colorway, which is gorgeous. But I needed a mohair to go with it. And when I was looking at some of the new colors from Chelsea Yarns, I noticed the Gilded Rose colorway, and I thought that would be gorgeous with the rose gold that I already had. So I asked her to pick me up some mohair, which she did, and it is stunning. I am just so in love with this mohair. So I'm going to be holding this with my rose gold cobblestone and making this Stay Cozy worsted sweater by Shayna Billow. And these are the bases that she used when she was designing. And I also wanted this amazing iridescent holographic shopping bag from Chelsea Yarns, which these yarns came in the bag. And then I have a friend who knows me oh so well, Alicia. Hi. And she texted me the night before Indie Untangled and said, have you looked at the exclusive colorways? If not, you might want to. And sent me a picture of this absolutely gorgeous skein from Nano Stitch Lab. And it's called Rhinebeck Rainbow. So, of course, I needed a skein of this. I have no idea what I'm going to do with it. It might become socks. Who knows? But it is gorgeous, and it had to come live with me. But I also, I sent Alicia some photos of yarns that I wanted from Bumblebee Acres when she went to Rhinebeck itself, the New York Sheep and Wool Festival on Saturday or Sunday. And I sent her photos of 4 Stephen King colorways from past clubs that I missed. and then 3 of the Stranger Things colorways. So she sent home for me Red Rum, which is also inspired by The Shining from Stephen King. This one is Prom Queen, which is inspired by Carrie. I've not seen the inspiration photo, but I've been told that this matches the inspiration photo perfectly. Baby, Can You Dig Your Man? This is the Pet Cemetery colorway from 2021. Look at those colors. And then this is the one that I have wanted forever, and have not been able to get it. So I was so happy that she got it for me. Christine. So these 3 will become socks for Eric because they're very him. And this one's for me. And then Stranger Things. This one is From Russia with Love. Look at that hot pink in there. So pretty. Hellfire Club. And then the Rainbow Room. So pretty. So yeah, so these 4 are for me. And then these 3 will be for Eric. Yep. So I was so excited to get all these, and so surprised that she was able to get all of them. I tell you, I would have been happy if she had just brought me this, but I was so excited to get all of these things. And I got my Indie Untangled tote bag for the year. Isn't that cute? All right. All right. So that's it. So what's been going on with me? So last February, not long after I recorded and posted, I started having problems with eating. And it went on and on and on. And then I lost my primary care physician. Excuse me. And had a very difficult time finding another. And I couldn't go and see any specialists without a primary care physician. So when I finally found a primary care physician, then we started in with seeing GI doctors and all of this. I basically wasn't able to eat for about 7 months. And, trigger warning. I'm going to talk about, weight loss. It wasn't an intentional thing, but I wound up losing about 170 pounds over the course of 7 months, which is not healthy at all. And I had zero energy because I had nothing coming in. I was, I was basically forced anorexic bulimic because I couldn't keep anything down. So I then basically stopped eating. So in September, we were trying to get me in for some more tests, but it was really tricky to get in, get things scheduled through the hospital, because they didn't want to do things in office. for a variety of reasons. So I wound up in the hospital at the beginning of September, and they wound up doing an upper endoscopy and took some biopsies and discovered what was going on, so that I was then able to start being treated for it. Once they started treating me, within 12 hours of medication, the nausea was gone. And I've been fine since. I was on a long course of antibiotics, but I've been able to eat, which is fabulous. I've put some of the weight back on, not a lot of it, but some, because I'm eating again. But then I couldn't walk because I lost all of my muscle tone. I basically had no quads. I had no strength in my upper body or my lower body. I couldn't lift myself. I mean, it was horrible. So they wound up sending me to a rehab center to do physical therapy. I was in there for close to a month. And I'm getting things back now. I'm getting my muscles back. I'm still not 100%. I'm still in physical therapy, but it's outpatient. And I also have some nerve damage in my legs. I have neuropathy in my legs and feet. I'm having a hard time walking. So it's been a struggle, and it's been a real struggle to be able to come up the stairs, which this yarn room is on the second floor of my house. So it's been very difficult, but I'm actually finally able to manage the stairs safely and get back into this room so that I can get back into doing what I love. So it's been a rough go, but I'm on the mend, happily on the mend. I'm feeling so much better, and just taking it day by day. And my husband has been a prince, a godsend. He has, I mean, just the way that he's taking care of me, and the sacrifices that he's had to make, with driving me around before I was able to drive again, and getting me to work when I couldn't drive, and just all of these amazing things that he's been doing. So that's one reason why I'm always going to have a pair of socks on the needles for him right now, because he deserves it, and he loves my hand knitted socks. So, my goal is to get him 7 pairs of socks before the end of this year. So I think that's definitely doable, though. Yeah, so that's kind of what's been going on in my life lately. I'm trying to get just back to some sort of state of normal. As far as, what I'm going to be doing, I'm doing some knit alongs. I am doing the ZK knit along. It just started yesterday. The January, February challenge, or bonus points, is to do texture. So I am that Stria cardigan is textured. The socks are textured. The Nydia sadly does not count because it was started before, but I had to, because that one, the due date is the 14th of January. So I need to get that finished quickly. I am also doing the pigskin party through Downseller Studio, Boston Jen's podcast. That one goes through the end of football season, so through the Super Bowl, which is in February. I'm also doing a challenge, and I can't remember what it's called, but it is a challenge to use, the challenge itself is to use 2023 grams of yarn from your stash by the end of the year. So roughly 20 skeins. I'm upping the game, and I want to use 2023 grams of yarn from my stash each quarter. So every 3 months. So around, what, 6 to 7 skeins a month. I think I can do it, especially with sweaters. So that's my goal. Little personal goal there. Like I said, I also want to knit. I guess it will be 5 pairs of socks for Eric this month or this year. This year, 5 pairs of socks for Eric this year. I'm also going to try to do as much of the Desert Vista Dyeworks 9th annual sock challenge. I don't know how far into the year I will get, but I will do my best. But I'm not going to. I'm not going to stress out about that particular challenge because that's just a kind of for me type of thing. And in February, I will be going to Vogue Knitting Live in New York City. I am so excited about this. I get to take another class from Leslie Ann Robinson of Knit Graffiti. I'm taking her Fixing Brioche Mistakes, which super excited about that. I'm taking courses from I think it's Kimberly McFadden. She does the boob camp. I'm doing that. And I'm taking a class from Vera Valimaki, a sweater class from her, which is super exciting. And I get to finally meet Joji Locatelli in person. She is the keynote speaker. So I'm so excited about that. She and I have messaged. So I hope I get to have a little bit of time with her. And I get to see Natalie from Love and Stitches, Knitty Natty, and Amy, and meet Brianna, Little Wolf Knits. I'm just so excited. I'm going to be taking the train to get there, which I've never done before. So I'm so excited about that. Yeah, I'm just excited. Can you tell? And then in June, I'll be going to the Zombie Knit Apocalypse again out in Rochester, Minnesota. This will be my 3rd year in person, 4th year going. The first year I went was the virtual year. So I'm so excited. And then in October is Rhinebeck. And I will be going, unless something crazy happens, I will be going this coming year. So yeah, so that's kind of what's going on in my life right now. I am planning to record every 2 weeks. You know, that's my goal. So hopefully that will happen. And then the next time I record, I'm going to talk about kind of my 2023 goals, what I'm looking forward to doing craft wise this coming year. I do have some goals, so I'm gonna go through those and hopefully show you some progress and maybe some finished objects. Who knows? So I hope you guys are having a great time, a wonderful new year, and come back next time to see what MD Quilter knits next. Bye.